What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. If you like buying cards and wouldn't mind helping a content creator out, feel free to use my TCG player affiliate link down below. It doesn't cost you anything to do so, except maybe an ounce of kindness. Legacy of Destruction, we got an archetype that supports insect, plant, and reptile monsters, Ragnaraika, and an archetype that really exudes a lot of Yoko Kurama energy. I just really like the artwork, and I think that the effects are really cool as well, as they show a lot of potential for what could be in the future with these cards. Ragnaraika Bloom reads, insect, plant, and reptile monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. Also, all other monsters on the field lose 300 attack and defense. During your main phase, you can activate one of these effects. Add one Ragnaraika monster from your deck to your hand, then discard one card. Special summon one of your Ragnaraika monsters from your hand, graveyard, or banishment in defense position. You can only use this effect of Bloom once per turn, so a starter and an extender, which is really nice, as we're going to continue here by activating the Bloom. We'll then be able to get our next new card, which will be the Evil Seed, as I add it here momentarily. And this one reads, you can special summon this card from your hand by sending one insect, plant, or reptile monster from your hand to the graveyard. You can only special summon Ragnaraika Evil Seed once per turn this way. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add to your hand up to 2 different Ragnaraika cards of yours that are banished and or in your deck, except Evil Seed. Then banish one card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except insect, plant, and reptile monsters. That's important to note because a few cards in this archetype do have that lock, and I think like 1 or 2 of them may even be for the entire turn, so you can't summon anything else the turn that you use them except insect, plant, or reptile monsters, and you can only use this effect of Evil Seed once per turn. Now, we're going to continue here by pitching the cross out for the Bloom, then we'll normal summon the Evil Seed as we're going to get our next 2 cards, and this one is Samurai Jack. It reads, you can special summon this card from your hand by placing one of your banished insect, plant, or reptile monsters on the bottom of your main deck. You can only special summon Samurai Jack once per turn this way. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a Ragnaraika Link monster, you can target one level 4 or lower insect, plant, or reptile monster in your graveyard except Samurai Jack, special summon it in defense position. You can only use this effect of Samurai Jack once per turn. So a really nice card here that can be an extender from the hand and then get you into yet another body if you go into a Ragnaraika Link monster with it. And then the next card that we have here is the Armored Lizard. It reads, you can special summon this card from your hand by banishing one insect, plant, or reptile monster from your graveyard, and you can only special summon Ragnaraika Armored Lizard once per turn this way. You can discard one insect, plant, or reptile monster, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, except an insect, plant, or reptile monster, and I think that's interesting, but return it to the hand. You can only use this effect of Armored Lizard once per turn. Now, we're going to continue here by banishing Armored Lizard, as we're then going to be able to special summon out the Samurai Jack via its own effect because we got that banished Armored Lizard off the Evil Seed, and we're going to go into our next new card. This is the Ragnaraika Skeletal Soldier, and again, just amazing artwork here, but it takes 2 monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile monster. Interestingly enough, it's a fire monster, and you can target one Ragnaraika monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do special summon this card, that's a recurring theme throughout these Link monsters, but you can only use each effect of the Ragnaraika Skeletal Soldier once per turn. Also, you cannot special summon during the turn you activate either of this card's effects except insect, plant, or reptile monsters, so this is what I meant by having some cards that may lock you out for the entire turn here, as we're now going to use the effect of the Samurai in order to get back Seed. Use the effect of the level 2 or the Link 2, the Skeletal Soldier, to get back the Samurai Jack, then go into our next new card, the Mantis Monk, which is a wind insect. It takes 2+ monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile monster, and you can banish 2 insect, plant, and or reptile monsters from your graveyard. Add one Ragnaraika trap from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except insect, plant, or reptile monsters. You can only use each effect of Monk once per turn. Now, we're going to continue here by going into the Dryas. Use the Skeletal Soldier, put the Dryas back into the extra deck, revive it, use the effect of Monk. This will get us our next new card, and this is the Hunting Needle or the Hunting Dance, and it reads, target cards your opponent controls up to the number of different monster types among Link monsters you control that are insect, plant, or reptile, destroy them. Then, if a face-up insect, plant, or reptile monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use each effect of Hunting Dance once per turn. Now, we're not done here, as we're going to go into our next new Link monster, and this is the Link 5. Skipping through our Link link 4, which I'll read later on in the video. And this is the Star Sovereign or the Stag Sovereign. It takes 2+ insect, plant, and or reptile monsters. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's deck and or extra deck, except during the damage step, you can destroy 2 monsters on the field. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except insect, plant, or reptile monsters. You can only use each effect of Stag Sovereign once per turn. And again, just amazing artwork on this. And pretty cool that it's your end board boss monster, as it does have the artwork fitting for that, but now we're going to be able to set the hunting dance and pass on to our opponent. So it's not really a lot that we're ending on here when you look at the fact that we just have a few pops, along with the graveyard effect potentially of the trap, which can net you another pop, but it's still something which is nice, and it also acts as a supplementary engine to the rest of the cards that you're playing, which usually go beyond just Ragnaraika cards. Now this second combo features Lone Fire Blossom. It's similar to the first combo, but I guess not really. We're going to use the effect of the Lone Fire, get ourselves the Evil Seed. From here we can use the effect of the Evil Seed, which will be able to get ourselves the search for the Raika Bloom along with the Samurai Beetle, and from here we're then going to be able to banish the Beetle. We'll activate the Bloom, as we're then going to use the secondary effect of Bloom, and we're going to revive the Samurai Beetle. Now we're going to go into our Skeletal Soldier, use the effect of the Samurai Jack, Samurai Beetle, as we're going to bring back the Evil Seed. Then we'll be able to use the effect of Skeletal Soldier to get back the Samurai, and now we can go into our Mantis, go into our Dryas, use the Skeletal Soldier as we'll be able to get itself back. Then we can use the effect of Mantis in order to get our hunting down. So now from here we'll be able to go into our Sovereign, as we'll set the trap and end on the same thing, just slightly different line, as we didn't end up getting the Armored Monk and we just got this instead. Now I want to show off a couple of Snake Rain combos for the Ogdoadic portion of this video. You're going to be able to see a entire engine that I'm playing in these 2 combos, as I trimmed down on the amount of Ogdoadic stuff that I was playing before, as we're now going to be able to send a bunch of monsters here. Typically these are the 4 that you will always send. The important thing is to get these 3 cards here into the graveyard, and then get the Serpent into the graveyard so that you have that tribute for the curse. And now we're going to be able to bring out the Serpent. We'll then be able to bring out the curse. Use the effect of curse, which will then be able to revive the Naya. And now we can use the effect of Naya, which will be able to get us into our Ogdoadic token maker. I forget the name of this thing, the Daybreak. And now we're going to continue here by using our effect of the light monster in the graveyard. I think it is Earthteamjordan. I don't remember how Konami does these things. It's a light. It's the Valmonicas that are all backwards, but it makes me think that other archetypes in the game are like that too. Now, even though we are reptile locked from this point on, we can go into our King of Feral Imps in order to net ourselves a search, which will be able to get ourselves the Ragnaraika at this point. You can get another reptile if you would like to, but I just don't think that you need to for this specific combo, as from here we're going to get a whole bunch of tokens. We're going to fill our board up, in fact. We're then going to be able to link away into the Skeletal Soldier, and from here we'll then be able to go into the Mantis, go into the Link Spider, so that we can then go into our Apo. I would like to point out, so the Apo is cool here because we don't have the Bloom. Boards where you do end with Bloom, how you go into Apo may change. You may want that 3rd material just so that you can have multiple negations with it, as the Apo will lose attack. So if you bring it out at 1600 with Bloom on field, it would only have 1300, and that can be kind of awkward. But from here we're going to bring out the Mantis. We're going to put the King of the Feral Imps back in the extra deck, and that's just pretty nice in my opinion, being able to get it back into the extra deck, because it's something that you want to go into for follow-up, as we're going to get our hunting dance here. Now we'll be able to use the effect of the Daybreak in order to get back the Serpent. From here we can then send ourselves the Fulgo, and from here we're going to use the effect of Fulgo, pitching the trap, and this gives us 2 extra bodies that I really just wanted to show. You didn't even really have to do this. You could just normal summon or special summon out Armored Lizard, go into your Link 4, and then just set the trap and go from there. But because I wanted to show that you can get access into 2 more bodies if you wanted to make King of the Feral Imps for whatever reason again, technically you also could just go into another reptile, plant, or sect Link 2 as well. But from here we're going to go into the Link 4, and this is the Chain Coils. It takes 2+ monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile monster. If your opponent activates a monster effect except during the damage step, you can activate this effect. Either player can activate the effects of monsters in the hand this turn. This card is in your graveyard. You can target 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. So you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except insect, plant, plant or reptile monsters. You can only use each effect of chain coils once per turn. We're going to continue here by going into our Star Sovereign. Now we can pass on to our opponent with the Apo giving us a couple of monster negations. We have the pops from this along with the graveyard effect of the trap card. Then also have some potential follow-up with our link monsters here, which is kind of nice as well. With that, I'm going to take you on to the next iteration of this combo. Now, this second version of the combo is a going second version of it, and there's two places that I actually found this from. One was another channel that I'll leave down below. I think that their name was like Earthteamjordan or something like that. Before that video, I had seen a YouTube comment on somebody else's talking about this. I thought was really cool as well. But we're going to continue here by using the Snake Rain in order to pitch the talents, as we'll then be able to send the same 4 cards that we sent last time. The effect of the Serpent to bring itself out, then we can bring out the Curse, then be able to bring out the Naya so that we can then get the search off of Naya for the Daybreak. From here, we're then going to revive the level 4 light, I forget its name, as we're then going to have access into King of the Feral Imps again. So starting off the same way really, as we're going to get ourselves another add to the Armored Lizard here, as we're then going to activate the Daybreak. We're going to get ourselves our 4 tokens now. Now we're going to be able to continue link climbing. We're going to go into the Skeletal Soldier, then go into the Mantis in coils, as then we can go into the Zealantis at this point. And the reason that we're going into Zealantis is because now we can use the Monk. We'll then be able to use the effect of the Monk here in order to net ourselves a search for the Hunting Downs. Now we'll use the effect of the Daybreak in order to put a card back, then send any other reptile that you want to the graveyard. I'm just showing that you can do this before we do this next part. Now we're going to use the effect of Zealantis. Now because we're the ones special summoning out monsters, if this Monk happened to lock us into insect, plant, or reptiles, if you're going second and you banish a bunch of your opponent's monsters on the field, they won't be able to get them back because you're the one special summoning back with the Zealantis. You're locked into the restrictions from the Mantis Monk. From this point, once you rid opponent's board and they can't come back from that, hopefully, you can then use the effect of the rank 4, the link 4, in order to bring itself back so that you have a bigger body, and you can end up summoning the Armored Lizard or special summoning it, whatever you want to do. Go into the Sovereign, as from here you can set the trap, give yourself a full end board for what Ragnaraika gives you, along with the ability to clear your opponent's entire board off the Zealantis. This final one, I did want to show one test hand, because there's a lot of gas in this deck. When you have things like the Bloom, you also have the Ogdoadic Water Lily. There's, of course, the token generator, the Daybreak. A lot of ways to combo in this deck, as we're now going to use the effect of the Lily in order to send the Cruise, as we're then going to use the effect of the Aya as we normal summon it in order to get ourselves the copy of the Serpent Strike. Now we're going to use the effect of the Curse in order to bring itself back. We can then use its effect bringing out the Aya again, as we'll then be able to activate the Daybreak, get ourselves all our tokens. At this point, we don't really care about the King of the Feral Imps, as we do have the Seed in the hand with another copy of itself, which is just really nice because it means that we have a way to pitch a card for it, special summon it out, continue from there. But then we're going to continue here by going into a 3-material Appaloosa, and you'll notice where the thing that I mentioned about Bloom is going to come up. We did go into a 3-material Appaloosa for this reason, as we're now going to banish the Beetle as we do add ourselves the Bloom. We're then going to be able to activate the Bloom. We'll use the effect in order to bring back the Beetle, and now from this point we can link away into the Mantis Monk, as we're going to use the effect of the Samurai Beetle in order to bring back the Seed, the effect of the Monk banishing a couple cards to get ourselves the Hunting Downs. From here we'll then be able to activate the Serpent Strike, as we're then going to be able to bring back the Cruise. Keep in mind, or the Curse. Keep in mind, this is something that is completely optional. I just want to show that if you would like to have it on field for its other effect, where during the main phase, if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can send one reptile monster from your deck to the graveyard, then I just want to show that you can do this. Of course, you don't even have to activate the first effect to begin with, but again, I am just showing that you can. As we're going to bring out the Curse, we're then going to use the effect of Daybreak, put back one of our Ogdoadics, as we'll send back the Serpent. From here, we can then use the effect of Serpent. We'll then go into the chain coils, as we're then going to go into the Sovereign, and now we can end on the Apo with 2 negations, because we do have the attack reduction of the Loom, and then from there we have the Sovereign along with the Trap, the potential send a Serpent Strike for our opponents. With all of the combos out of the way, we can get onto the deck profile, and unlike my previous version of this list, which had the Horus cards along with Ogdoadic cards, I decided not to play these just because we now have Ragnaraika link monsters that can help us make an end board, and I felt Curse was more important because it's one of the vital pieces into getting to that end board. I also did make more space for going second cards doing that, which I felt was something that the deck needed before, because even though you do have a lot of gas, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you can't play through stuff just because your combos do have pretty vulnerable choke points like the Curse, along with the Mantis Monk not being able to get you the trap can further weaken your boards and things like that. I would also like to point out that you can potentially play a second copy of the Skeletal Soldier if you would like to. I just decided to go with one of each just because there's so many things that you can play in the extra deck, as you can see here, but of course adjust it to your liking, as you can also play other rank 4s and things like that. You'll also notice how I'm not playing the Lone Fire Blossom. I think if I were playing plants, I would be, but because we're playing Ogdoadic, I just didn't feel that it was worth it because we have so many other ways to start our combos with, and at the end of the day, the Ragnaraika in this deck is more of a sub-engine rather than the actual focus on the deck. Now, throughout the combos, you probably noticed that the deck really does have a weakness to things like Nibiru. You don't have a good counter to that, unfortunately, so I am choosing to main the crossouts and called by. Then, of course, there's the Effect Veiler and the Imperms, which also pair really well with Nib, but they're also cards that can hurt you a lot as well, because again, the Curse is just a really easy choke point. There's also other stuff like your Link monsters, which can be hit with hand traps, and then they don't get the value that you really need them for, especially when you don't have access into some of your other cards. But overall, my takeaway is that while these cards are really solid on their own, I think that we are missing a few more cards that we could potentially get for this archetype over time for it to be its own, as the current decks that we have right now, like Bee Troopers and Ogdoadics, really don't do a whole lot going first on their own, even though we do have a crazy card like Daybreak. I guess this is another thing that I could explain. In my previous build, I was playing 3 of these. I don't think that you need to play 3 of these, especially without the Horus Engine pitch it. The reason for this is just because it's so easily searchable. You're using it once, and then really the next time you have a turn, you should be able to have your follow-up via the Ragnaraika stuff in your graveyard, or even any other follow-up that you were able to get through your own search effects and things like that. And especially when you have the Bloom, if it stays on field, you then have that extra search/discard, the ability to special summon back a Ragnaraika monster from your hand, graveyard, or banish zone. But with all of that out of the way, I'm just going to get onto the card by card, as I don't have too much else to say here. And we have the 3 copies of Nunu, the 3 copies of Naya, we then have the 1 copy of Serpent, the 1 copy of Samurai Jack, the 1 copy of Ragnaraika Armored Lizard, the 3 copies of the Seed, the 3 copies of the Bloom, the 1 Hunting Dance, the 1 Daybreak, the 3 Snakes Rain, we then have the 3 copies of Water Lily, the 1 Serpent Strike, we then have the 2 copies of Curse, the 1 copy of Fulgo, we then have the 1 copy of the Black Mamba, the 3 copies of the Nibiru Veiler, the 1 copy of Called By, the 2 copies of Crossout, we then have the 3 copies of the Imperm. Onto the extra deck, we have the 1 copy of the Underworld Goddess, we then have the Sovereign, the 1 copy of the Chain, the 1 copy of Apos, the Atlantis for the Lock, we then have the Mantis Monk, we then have the 1 copy of Cosmic Slicer, and this is more for your Ogdoadic stuff, just because it's something that you can actually go into when you're Reptile, Plant, Insect locked. Then we have the 1 copy of the Alien Shock Trooper, same thing. Then we have the 1 copy of the Reptilian, we then have the 1 copy of the Skeletal Soldier, the IP Masquerena, SP Little Knight, Spider, the 1 copy of the Dryas for the combo, and also the ability to just put it back into the extra deck is really nice, because then you can get the ability to link away into it again, giving you a potential other body, and just looping that is really nice. But then we have the 1 copy of the King of Feral Imps, which is another great target to put back into the extra deck as well, to round out the deck profile. So for everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching, and for the 700 plus subscribers. I truly appreciate your support, and now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below, and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones signing